And good evening to everyone. This is Mumtaz, and I think I'm grateful of SEARA, and especially everyone, the organizing committee, the group coordinators, and whoever is managing this entire project, the community. It's really wonderful. Hats off to you. The topic of today is really interesting, and something which close to my heart always as usual. So the first question when comes in my mind that when we are starting our research journey, so people always ask that what you are going to do, what are the issue you are going to solve, what is the problem you are going to address in your research. So this is a $1 million question. So we try to answer this question in this short discussion, as Dr. Ram already mentioned, that although we have a short time, but we try to get most out of this time. Uh, I'll be using these three key references today. Whatever I will be discussing, it's based on these three references. One is Sedang and Allison's ways of constructing research questions. And second is Chris Well's book, 2015 Education Research, Identifying a Research Problem. And third one is also a book, it's doing a management research. It's all about the research problem. So at the end of this discussion, I'll be providing you all these references so you can go through and you can see that how it can further elaborate you about the research problem and something relevant to research problem. Okay. What I'm going to discuss today, the objective of overall this discussion is research ideas and research problem, the best sources of research ideas and problem, and then uh, the gap spotting. This is what very famous approach. When we see the papers, when we review papers, we find that people always talk about the research gaps. So this is what we are going to discuss also. And we also will be discussing beyond this gaps spotting. And then at the end, we'll be discussing about the problem statement. Although I'm not going to discuss in detail how to construct, but I'll be discussing the major components, the factor which makes a problem statement more visible and attractive for your research thesis and the project you are working on. And at the end, I have also prepared an assignment for you. And I hope that this assignment will help you to make the session an experiential learning, because at the end what we know, what we understand, it must be translated into experiential learning. So this assignment will definitely help you. So may I ask you, how many of you believe that the research is easy? If you click on the research participants, and you'll find that at the bottom of that participant there is a option. Let me see there, what are the options over there, because I'm on the sharing my screen. So if you click on and the green button, then I'll find that you find it easy. Let me unshare first, see that how many of you believe. Okay, click on participants, and at the end, yes, it's a green. If you find that it is easy, then you just click on the yes. Okay, one. Oh, said no, it's not easy. Okay, Dr. Megeshwari is saying that it's easy. Wow. Okay, doctor, you can, because you are already a doctor.
Prof, I accidentally click actually. I want to click no.
Accidentally. Okay. All right. So whoever have answered, majority of them believe that it's not easy. Wow. Okay. I'm still trying to find that is there anybody who still believe that this is very easy, easy job, I can do it? None so far. Not an issue. I think so, but we believe that end of this session, we'll discuss again, and I'll be asking you again that whether it's still you believe that is still difficult. All right. So let me share my slides again. Okay. There is a very interesting session. When I was in my master's, I entered with my research examination room for my proposal defense. My examiner asked me to sit down. They asked me do not present. I was really surprised because I came to present my proposal, and they asked me to sit down and I no need to present. I was really surprised. So then one of the examiners, the chairman, I don't want to mention the name, but she mentioned that Mumtaz, we cannot proceed with your proposal defense because there is a problem. I said, what's the problem? They said there is a problem that your problem statement does not have any problem. So if you have a research thesis and you are very confident and you want to propose something, but your examiner believe that there is a no problem in your problem statement, then it is going to be a big problem for you. So starting the journey with a problem will make things easier for you. Now imagine I'm an international student. I came from Pakistan all the way, and I'm thinking that I'm going to defend my proposals very soon and then my final defense. And suddenly it appears that I don't have any problem, then I have to start my journey again. Remember that if you have a methods issue, if you have any other issue, you may correct within a day. But if you don't have any problem, then you have to start from zero. Your journey will restart it, and maybe if you are doing your research proposal after 6 months, after 1 year, then 1 year again you have to spend, you have to come up with a problem. So problem is must. That's why people say the research problem is the backbone of your research. Research problem is heart of your thesis. So what is the problem actually? What is the problem? Any one of you, especially those who are SEARA's current batch, those who are lady doctors, anyone have a courage to speak out? I will definitely appreciate, and I have some rewards, some surprises for them. Anybody? Anyone?
Can I answer?
Yes, please.
Okay. What I have learned so far about the problem, there is two problem in the academic. One
Mhm.
is field research problem, and another one is methodology problem, especially we call research gap.
Okay.
And research gap is more about the people who are have one direction to conduct research, but they might have something, the problem you can see from different perspective or maybe different theory. They have like something the people not talking about yet. That is a kinds of one problem. Another one is more about research, action research. We talking about in the field problem. That is more about the empirical problem in the field. For example, they might have some food shortage in some particular area. That is
Okay.
kinds of
Great.
problem. But this have two different problems.
Thank you so much. I think it's a very good answer. But hopefully, at the end of the session, we'll learn more about the research problem. Anybody else in the audience who want to speak out? I still give one more person to speak out, at least two.
May I try?
Okay, please.
Yeah, to me, a research problem is a specific issue that our research is trying to address or solve.
That's great. Yes, I agree. Hopefully, once I'll explain that it will matches what you are speaking now. Thank you so much. All right. So remember, as I mentioned earlier, that having a research problem and you want to focus on that research problem and you want to address that research problem, you must be very clear that what is the research problem actually. So when I asked that Criswell 2015 was the research problem, he told me the research problems is the educational issue, the controversies, the concerns, the issues that guide the need for conducting a study. Remember, your examiner will ask you why you are focusing on this topic. What what is the issue you want to address? Why? What is the importance of this issue? There are so many issues in the world. Why what are the issues, what are the key reasons you are doing this research. At that time, what you are going to mention is your research problem, the motivation behind your research study, your thesis. So in this case, uh, somebody can ask me, Mumtaz, so what is the research problem? I still didn't get it. Remember when me, Hiram, and Jakey and Jason is sitting on a restaurant and asking for a cup of coffee at a Starbucks, maybe we realized that people love to stay at Starbucks, and we are amazed that why not other restaurants? Why they are coming in the Starbucks? What factors, what issues leads them? What are the attractive things that leads them to come to the Starbucks? Maybe one of your family member, he is not satisfied with his current education institution. Have you realized that why? Why he is not very motivated? Why he doesn't want to go to the school? Why he doesn't like his teachers? Maybe it pushes you to dig out more, to think that why it's happening. And maybe Dr. Tan is thinking about his one of these colleague who's not satisfied with his job, who's thinking to leave organization and join another organization. And maybe one of your student, one of your colleague, one of your classmate who's thinking that I think there is a mic is on, somebody's mic is on. I think there is a mic fluctuation. Is there anyone? Please. Okay, now I think dissolved. Okay, so there can be problems, are so many millions of problems around you. If you want to know, if you want to dig out, if you want to realize that here's the problem, then it's around you, it's surrounding you. You can find the issues, but not every problem need to be researched. Remember, you must have that systematic way of doing things where you realize that this problem is worth researching. Okay, all right. So now we'll come back again on the research problem. Remember, when you study, when you are going through a research paper, ask few questions yourself, what these authors are doing, why this research they conducted at the first place, what are the issue and problem, the controversy they want to address, what issues lead them to study this kind of research. When you start thinking in this way, with every research paper you are going to read, I'm sure that you will know there are how authors come up with the problems, and what are the issue and how they formulate their problems. Okay, so starting from today, whenever you have a research paper and you come up, you want to read, don't just read for the sake of knowing their what are their future directions, which is a traditional way that I want to find a gap, but try to understand how and why they the first place they think that this research is very important, and secondly, how they formulate their problem, the need of the study, the issue they wanted to address. That is where you will learn and you will position your research problem accordingly. Now this slide is very important for all those who are master students, are PhD students, are they want to learn where these research problems comes from. So number one is the existing literature, the traditional, of course. So future direction, when you read a paper, go to future direction and you see that there are few people, they are saying that you have to fill this gap. There is no research around this topic, and so you have to, for example, employee engagement and turnover intention is never been discussed, so future research must focus on this. And then there are systematic literature reviews. They systematically review the literature which was published in last several years, and based on that literature they give you some future direction that these things are missing and it must be focused, so they can give you a direction. And then there's a meta-analysis. Of course, meta-analysis a cumulative results of several studies, and based on these studies they may tell you that there are several variables there, have the low impact and they have some problems in the overall discipline, overall construct maybe. And then the literature matrix, it's now your own efforts. You have to come up with a literature matrix. You add on, you review, and you key in the data from the papers, the several papers systematically, and you come up with some future direction. I'll be discussing on the literature matrix in my coming slides as well. So based on your own review of literature, your self motivated effort, that you want to know what has been done so far in the literature, and now you want to know that what is missing actually. So this is also one of your assignment later I'll give you. Then secondly, academicians. Your supervisor is the first place. Of course, I'm going to ask you that you may ask the supervisor to share their ideas, to tell you what are the current issues, what are the things that you focus on. Your colleagues, the informed colleagues, those who are really familiar with the literature, and they know that what's going on and what's missing and where should you focus. And then the events, seminars, Academy of Management Conference, SESAM, and so many other conference that you can attend and you can learn from, and you will meet so many people around, journal editors, gurus in your field, that you approach them and you ask them what's going on and what they are looking for in coming days. And I think those suggestions are $1 million suggestions, and you cannot get from any book or any article. And then, of course, you can individually approach the gurus. If you have a topic in mind, and if you have something in your notes that you want to discuss with gurus, you can write an email and ask them that I like to work on this topic. What do you suggest? What's your opinion? And I have tried during my PhD, and I found that these people are very helpful, and they will tell you that what is the missing, and if they find that your topic is very good, and they'll appreciate you. And some of the gurus, they ask that they can even collaborate if, in future, if they you want to publish your these ideas after your graduation. Okay. And then social consents. Now this is another source, and it's in majority of the time this source helps you a lot. Newspaper, every day we read about the health and safety issues, social issues, employment issues, labor issues, issues with young generation, issues with old consumers, food related issues, job related issues, skills related issues, customer satisfaction issues. So many issues you can get from these resources like newspapers. And then government reports are a very good resource that can help you so much to identify what's going on, what is happening, and what are the overall issues related to society that may attract you in order to work on and to address and see how you can help the society. Remember, at the end, what matters is how you care about, how much you care about the society. So in if you want to contribute to the society, then of course these reports will be very helpful. And then statistics, you see the Bureau of Labor and Statistics, and you find that there are so many other government agencies. They publish every month some reports mentioning that there unemployment, there is skills mismatch, and so many other things that can be also one of the resources that can be useful when you justify your research problem, right? Okay, then personal experience, like I mentioned, that around me, Jason and Jakey sitting in a restaurant and observing my personal experience, our personal experience. We realize that students are not happy when we are in the class because maybe my personality is like that. Maybe I'm in my class, I'm not engaging students. Maybe in my class, there's no entertainment. Maybe it's a boring lecture like we are doing just now. And there's so many other factors can be. So my personal experience can help me to come up with an idea that can further be dig out, whether it can be research or not. It's the first, is the initial phase where you are using these sources to come out at least some potential ideas that can be workable for your research thesis, your research project. And then the last is the practitioners. There are several practitioners of reports in the market. Hayes, Ion Havitt, Accenture, so many, McKinsey, they yearly publish so many articles, so many working papers, so many reports. Universities also, they produce some working papers for the industry, that what's going on in the businesses, what's going on in the industry. You can focus on that if you are really a man of business and you want to focus on business related areas. You want to focus on CEOs, you want to focus on some marketing strategies, you want to focus on some salary and payroll issues, you want to HR practices. These reports can be wonderful for a good start. And I'm sure that if uh, mine or Haram's paper or somebody else's paper, if you can go through the starting the introduction in order to justify, we always use such kind of working papers and a statistic in order to get the reader's attention, so they know that it's not just we are talking, but we have the material that justifies that this is really a big issue, right? Another, I mentioned in my previous slide that literature metrics, the existing literature, but here I'm mentioning about that how you utilize literature metrics. Literature metrics, I think it's a very common way of compiling, mapping your literature. Some people use this activity as a literature mapping, but I usually use as a literature metric. So what we do in this activity is to prepare an Excel sheet. I ask my students, whatever you read, please, when you finish reading, summarize it in an Excel sheet. And what I want from them is just mention these details in that Excel sheet. Although it's a time consuming, but it's going to help you a lot. It's a lifesaver. And whenever you need anything and you want to know who used this theory and how many samples they have and where the research was conducted and in what country, which country has many research papers, what was the sample size, what was the sampling technique they have used, everything you can extract from this. And sometimes we also use this for systematic literature review as well. So let me share uh, Excel sheet, a literature matrix that was prepared my students, but I have just want to use one part of it just to show you that what we did actually. So let me share. All right, this is the one I wanted. I have excluded so many things. I just wanted to show you that how you can effectively utilize this one in order to come up with some research ideas, some potential gaps that you want to address, some theoretical issues, some suggestions for future, some overall the bird eye view of uh, the publications which so far published, and you want to know that what is missing. Then I think this is a good activity for all those who are at the earlier stage of their research. Those who are already now proposal done, I think not for them. Okay, so what we did here, you see the research approach theory. If there any other theory, then we have independent variable. If another independent, third one, fourth one, dependent variable. If we have more than one variable, dependent variable, then we have a moderator, then we have a mediator, then we, if any other mediator, then we have a control variable, instrument, then industry. Then we have data collection, where there is an individual level, are they have multiple sources of data. So we use that one as well. And then response rate, sampling techniques. And then at the end, the most important thing is the future recommendation. Here you can see these recommendation will help you to come up with something which is recommended by the previous research, because at the end, if examiners are going to ask you, hey, anybody asks you to do so, and then at that time, very confidently, you tell them, yes, thank you so much, bro, for asking this question. Yes, there are so many researcher calls for research on this particular topic, and blah, blah, and, Haram 21, 2020, Megashwari 2021, Memon 2021, they are also suggesting to do this one. That's the reason I did so. So, and for example, not only this future recommendation, for example, you want to see that what theories you have has been used so far, and you want to adopt another theory to explain that phenomena. You see self verification theory, ethical leadership theory, organization identification theory. Now you want to argue that social exchange theory has never been used. For example, although I can see that social exchange theory is here, and for example, you want to say that social learning theory has never been used. So this is the research gap I want to address. This literature matrix somehow can help you. Why I'm saying that it's not the 100% help you, because 100%, if it helps you 100%, it needs your justification. The art of writing, art of justification. Just simply mention that previous people, they didn't utilize this theory. It's not enough. It's your justification. Why it is important to use this theory? Why working on this theory will give you something very important that previous theory didn't give you. So it is your justification. It's not about the gap. Gap can help you somehow to justify that this is the need, but the need must be justified. It's not simply only the gap. All right, so I go back to my slides again. All right, so now those who are in the early stage, I would request them to please start doing from now. Prepare a literature matrix. Whenever you review a paper, whenever you want to read a paper, just compile in that sheet. At the end, you will find that you have a good review of literature, and you have so many articles in this Excel sheet, and it will be very easy for you to justify anything. All right. And it will show your efforts. And at the end, you want to, your efforts should be counted. Huh? So you want to show them. You see, examiner, you want to show them, like I show you the Excel sheet, but I have deleted because it has 58 articles. So I just took 9 articles to show you that how it should be done. So at the end, you want to show that I have gone through 100 articles, but you don't have any record. But if you have this Excel sheet and mentioning 100 articles, wow, your examiners will be very happy. Wow, this guy, this girl is really brilliant. Okay, so we move on. Now, when somebody asks Kiswela, ways to assess whether you should research a problem. Criswell replied, yeah, I'm talking about the Criswell's chapter on identifying a research problem. He said, yes, if it fills a gap in the existing literature, you can think about that problem. For example, you find that the students are not satisfied, and you want to focus on the factor affecting student satisfaction. Why some students are more satisfied and others are not satisfied or less satisfied? But you go back and you find that there are already literature, there are so many papers already published, then it is not worth spending, because it's the already uh, published and already it's well known. So if you want to know something new, if you want to dig out, you want to construct some new theory, maybe it can be, but it's already gaps already been filled. So that gap must exist. That secondly, replicate a past study. The study has been done in Western countries, and you want to replicate here. Although in our cultures and Asian cultures, we don't appreciate replications, unfortunately. But replications are very important in order to advance the theory. Uh, when a model becomes a theory, the most important thing, most important factor is a replication. It must be tested in a different geographical locations, different settings and contexts. Criswell saying that, yeah, you can still, if it's a replication, but in a different participants and different research site, you can still think to consider it and address this problem. Third one, exchange past research. Here, something new, Phil's gave exchange, something they focus on one aspect and you want to focus on in other aspect and you want to dig out thoroughly, more detailedly. Maybe people focus on quantitative too much and you want to explore more in terms of qualitative, some more factors to extend more, some new theoretical aspects, you can still consider that problem. Another, give voices to the people, societal issues, some minority issues, some things that you want to really people, the world knows that must be addressed. Nobody want to address that minority side. He said, then it is very important to focus on that. And then informs practice. Huh? Now, again, we are coming back on the managerial side, the businesses, the society. We want to give back to the society. So in informs practice, he explains that it, every research, they must have the contribution regarding their society they are working on, the population they want to research, to conduct their research. So in that, overall, the summary of this, the importance of research problem, whether you research or you should not research, your decision of considering this research problem is must be focusing on several of these issues what we discussed just now. But the important thing is it must contribute back the society. There fills gap only or is just a replication. It may not be a powerful problem that you can justify at the end. So it must inform practice. It may give the voices, or it may extend the previous research, or it may fill a research gap in the existing literature. Okay, so now I'm going back to discuss another article that is a Sandberg's and Ellefson's article, and it's a very famous article, Ways of Constructing Research Questions and Gap Spotting. He said when you are reviewing literature, you will find three different gaps. Huh? And number one, neglect. Usually when you go through a thesis or you want to read a research paper, you will see that people usually they quote like this. Huh? Previous research ignored this topic, XYZ. This topic is under researched. Nobody so far has focused on this topic. This comes under neglect. Huh? Means you are trying to mention that this issue or this area of research has previously been not explored. So you are the one, you are the best person in the whole world who is going to address this problem. Okay. So neglect, number one. Second one is confusing. Confusion. For example, one paper is saying that there is a training. When there is a training, people tend to stay in the organization and they don't leave organization, for example. But second paper comes in and they are saying that when organization invest in the training, people tend to leave organization because now they have the better skills. Now they feel that they are now the master of everything. They know how to do the things. They tend to leave organization. Confusion. Huh? Some papers, they are saying that there is a negative. Some papers, they are saying that there is a positive relation, and some are negative, and some are saying that there is no relation. Some papers, I think one of our papers published in Journal of Organization Effectiveness and Performance, that is where we mention about such kind of issues, and we come up that maybe there's something is missing in between. All right, so this can be one of the hot spot you can find the controversy. But when it comes, when you know that there is a confusion, when you start reading. Without reading, you cannot find it. Huh? You have to read. You have to read your area of the papers published in your area, and you'll find, oh, wow, first paper is saying a positive relation, and second paper is saying there's no relation, and third is saying that there is a negative relation. Then you start thinking, wow, there must be something to be done. Okay. And then there's application. Application is some of the theories that you apply in one discipline, some of the variable you apply in one discipline, but you want to know that whether you can use these variables or these theories in a different setting, application of the theory or the variables of the in the different setting. So in this case, maybe you start reviewing literature with the intention that, okay, I want to see that social exchange theory has been used in which sectors, huh? For example, it's manufacturing, it's oil and gas. Can I use social exchange theory in another context? Maybe you want to use TPB, theory of plant behavior. Okay, previously the theory has been used in technology, in food, in uh, maybe in educational sectors and some other sectors. Can I use this theory in hospitality? Maybe you can think about. So neglect, confusion, and application. And sometimes not necessary that they stand alone, but you may think to combine in one paper. You also talking about that this area is under researched, and you are also talking that there are confusion, and you are also talking that you want to apply the theory in different setting. So it's maybe a combination, not necessary that all together in one paper, but maybe two, maybe three, or maybe the combination of one another. So you have to start thinking from this way in order to extract some of the hot spots where you can park your research in later part. Okay, now this is very interesting, huh? I want to give you 20 seconds to go through this one, and then I'll discuss. So now when people ask that I have a research gap and I'm safe, I have no issue, gap doesn't mean that it is very important to be researched, huh? It's sometimes maybe it's uninteresting, maybe it doesn't have any worth to do, maybe it does not provide anything to the society, maybe it does not contribute anything else, it's something new to the literature. So be careful. The gap is not always something which is important in order to make a very clear justification of your research. No, there must be something else beyond this only gap kind of phenomena, that I have a gap. Why I'm saying so? Because I have reviewed so many theses, and I have been examining so many theses, and what they mention, what students usually mention, that doctor, I find this base paper, huh? That paper saying that if you add this moderator, it will be a contribution. It will be something new. So they go to one paper and find that there is a future direction, and come back is saying this paper is saying that I should include this moderator. This is my contribution. Gap does not mean a contribution until unless you justify it's important. Why it's important to work on this gap? What will happen once you fill this gap? Is there any consequences of this? What are the positive outcomes of this? This is where your art of justification comes in. If you don't justify, I'm afraid that even you have a gap, still you will be in crisis to manage your thesis at the last moment, when you examine it in front of you and you have to justify. Very difficult. So think about research problem, think about the sources, think about the gaps, and think about your contribution. What I mentioned just now, that not all gaps should be can be as a contribution. So there are several things which you need to understand, that contributions continuum, that how it goes, and what has the strong contribution, and some of the contribution are considered as lowest contributions. For example, state replication comes in the first, in this side. The first means is the lowest in the rank, huh? So replication and extension together is still on second. So when it goes on, the list goes on, you see that where you can park in. If somebody asks me, Mumtaz, I'm doing my master, what should I do that justifies that it's enough for my thesis? I think it depends on your university. It depends on you. It depends on how you justify. Sometimes, believe me, they don't have so many contributions. They don't have so many new things. But the way they justify, the way they articulate their problem, the way they uh, give you an explanation, you'll find that this is a fantastic study. But I have also seen people who have so many gaps. They come up with so many new things, but they don't know how to justify. They have a miserable life at the end, and they cannot proceed. They cannot proceed to their next step because examiner, they find that they don't know how to justify. So what's the point? So in my opinion, ask yourself whether your contribution is comes somewhere here, and whether your universities agree to give you thesis, the degree of uh, your desire. Of course you go on, maybe it's a straight replication. Some of the institutes, if you just replicate and you do master thesis done, but maybe some of the universities, even for master, you have to do a basic research. So it again depends. Developing a new theory that predicts a new one, a complete new theory you come up with, I think that is the highest contribution, higher rank contribution. And there are so many other things. This is the article also I'm giving you in your readings at the end. So you go through and you see that where you can park your overall research you are currently working on, and maybe it give you some new options that you can want to explore. Okay, now these are the takeaways. Huh? The same article is saying that we should go beyond gap spotting. Huh? Gap spotting is something very old. Huh? No need to focus on that. Critical confrontation, focus on that. Review, do see something very critical. What is going on? What is missing? Why they didn't do in the similar way? Why cannot it can be done something in either way? Where is the issue? How you can suggest something new which can improve the overall process. Critically review and suggest and recommend and come up with something new ideas, pure new ideas. Something you go for quali. Sometimes we afraid to go for quali, but quali give you some very new ideas. You want to explore some new idea. You are open to explore something new which you never heard about.
Dr. Mumtaz? Dr.
Yes.
Mumtaz? Yeah, Maggie share. We are getting ready for Q&A session.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. So
thank
just
you.
last one slide. Huh? One
Yeah.
slide. Okay. And last, problematization. Don't be afraid to come up with a new theory. You want to come up, you want to challenge a theory. You want to say that this theory is incomplete. You want to say that this is yours. Being a researcher, don't afraid from anybody. It's you. If you want to propose and you have that confidence that you want to challenge and you want to make it happen, I think this is possible. All right. So I proceed. This is the process. You find your interest, where is your interest, and then identify a problem. For example, my interest in HR, I see that organization have some bad HRM practices. I find a problem that maybe their HRM practices, employees are not satisfied. I need to discuss before finalizing that problem. I need to discuss maybe my supervisor, maybe my teammates, Dr. Aram, Dr. Jason, Dr. Jackie, and then the important, the key thing is the literature review. You go back and you see that there is a literature review. You cannot run away from literature. Dr. Hiram said, okay, this is the problem and you want to search, you want to research that problem. No, literature review, find the justification. Is there any gap? Or you want to revise it, discuss again, and then come back and then write a problem statement. And that problem statement must be a good problem statement. Please read this one. And if you don't want to read now, maybe we have a short of time, then maybe later. But there is a way to write problem statement, and there are several approaches. For example, Kiswell said that we must have a topic, we have a research problem, we have a justification for the problem, and we have an aim for the study, and we must relate it to the audience. And then there is another approach that Goban Clark, they suggested in 1967, that principal proposition interacting proposition, and speculative proposition. I combine it and I come up with something that makes life easier for new researchers. So topic statement, overall statement that employee engagement is very important for the organizations. And if employee engagement, mention consequences. If employee engagement is there, then organization have a high productivity, they have the employee satisfaction, job satisfaction. Mention the problem. However, now using that connectors and mentioning that there is a problem. However, there is a low engagement or disengagement among the employees of this industry. So then justify, mention the statistics that the current recent industry report shows that there is a 30% of the employees, they have the disengagement issue or they are not actively engaged, for example. Okay, justified. And then literature review mentioned that there is also a gap between engagement and employee turnover or employee productivity or employee satisfaction. And then mention your overall aim of the study, that what you are going to do, what your study is going to do, and how you are going to address this problem. And I also mention about the theory, although problem statement usually traditionally don't ask about the theory, but I ask my students to mention about the theory at this stage. If they know that what theory they are going to use, they'll be very clear, crystal clear, and they don't need to worry about the later part, because at the end when they are going to see the theory, then they have to revise again, rewrite the problem statement, maybe there are other variables. So it may take longer time compared to UUL, but it's a safe game actually. Okay. And then relating to the audience, I emphasize this one because it will tell the audience that how it's important for research, how it's important for the stakeholders, including the government, including the population of your study, including the business practices, managers. So here you started that these are the problem, and here you are telling them that how it is going to be addressed, your problem is going to be addressed, and who's the beneficiaries. So that's all from my side. So I will conclude. Okay, see, these are the problems. Huh? Some people say where the industry reports comes. Huh? You see, this is the report, recent survey. They are saying 2.4 million people, they have the skill shortage, they cannot be employed. Uh, just Google and you'll find. Then the youth, the young generation have a high suicide rate, social issues. Just Google and you'll find so many. Then the industry reports, they are saying these industry has the high attrition rate. People are leaving these industries. Very recent report, 2018. Then low engagement. These are also industry reports, Gallup's reports. 53% people, they are not engaged. Also is a concern for the industry. All right. It's still okay. May I have the 2 minutes more, please? 2 minutes only.
Okay, okay.
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 All right. These are the things which I wish I should know before I did my PhD. I'm very honest with you. Please do something which you feel that you are interested in. Driving seat is yours. If you don't drive and you ask somebody else to drive, then you are in a problem. Because if you just follow your supervisors, or they ask you to do on this research topic, work on this research topic, honestly, you will be in problem. Because you don't know, and at the end you have to justify. Then internal push, you see the purposiveness, the hallmark of the scientific research. The first hallmark is the purposiveness. See the purpose, how you are going to contribute to the society, how the important is research you are doing is actually, what is the significance contribution you will make to the society. It will be an internal push for you, motivation. And then, as I mentioned, driving seat means you decide. Although sometimes your supervisor asks you, no, you should not go this way, you should not do quality, you should not do quantity, you should not do this one. It is your role that you come up with some justification with polite and humbleness, ask your supervisor that this is the way the things should be done, these are the informed decision, and based on literature, if you tell them, they will definitely don't stop you. Okay. And then don't promise too much. Oh, you want to study the 6 countries, huh? Oh, please don't. do something which is doable. And this is also another hallmark of the scientific research. And skill development, if you don't know today how to write your thesis, not an issue. But at the end of the your PhD, still you don't know how to write your thesis, then is a big problem. So start developing your skills, see how you can improve, attend workshops, seminars, and these are the readings which I am recommending. Please do read. Reading and reading. Reading is the best friend. And if you read, nobody is going to stop you. And these are the concluding remarks. Opportunities do not happen. You create them. So if you create them, of course, you are the successor. You are the master. Thank you so much.